Ella's face turned red. Why is everything so grey if there are a million colors? And why is everything so square if there are a billion shapes? I have an idea, shouts Ella. We are going to rebuild the city. That's not possible, says Bas. Why not? asks Ella. Because we are children, and children don't build cities. That's what grown-ups do. Why? Children are fun. Grown-ups are boring. We should build the cities. Well, good luck with it, says Bas. This is a quote from one of my favorite children's books. Ella and Bas build a city, in which they wonder why the city looks like it is. And with that open mind of a child, we should take a look at our cities again and see where the possibilities are, instead of everything which is difficult. To see that there are no restrictions and everything is within our reach. Welcome in my hometown, Utrecht, the city I was born, where my family and friends live, and where I go to work every day. I'm an architect, an urban planner, and I used to work at architectural offices on blueprints on city development. But at some point, I didn't feel appropriate anymore, because those paper plans developed much slower than the climate change around us. Those plans were about people and not made with the people using the city. But it is within my reach that I can design a city which, in my perspective, is a happy and healthy city, to show people what the possibilities are and how they can contribute on it themselves. So I decided to follow my dreams and try to realize it. Hey. Other way around. Yep, here. This all started in 2014 on the edge of a rail track in an abandoned industrial area, Werkspoorkwartier. I saw an opportunity here to create my dream, to create my dream at Hof van Cartesius, a creative breeding ground for sustainable and creative entrepreneurship, workspaces around a green community garden, not only built for the users, but with the users, and completely built in a circular building method. A playground on experimenting on working on a sustainable way. Nowadays, we are 120 Hof members, realizing that dream, and learning and struggling every day, because it definitely isn't easy. You have to have a long breath, it takes a long breath, and you have to be ignorant sometimes. But if I knew up front what was facing me, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you. And before I tell you what that dream means to me, what it means on climate change, on circular development, I want to tell you about the 3 pillars of the Hof van Cartesius. What are the characteristics? And if I fail, just come to visit us in het Hof and get inspired and come and play along. The first pillar, it's about reuse materials. Het Hof is built with 90% of used materials. And not only in furniture, but also on constructive elements. Something which was new for new buildings in such a big scale. But more important is that we realize that 40% of our waste in this country comes from construction industries. And if you realize that, you just start thinking that construction world really needs to change. And even more, if you realize that it's not only materials that are given a second life coming from a demolition building. No, there's 4 types of waste, in which we don't even see them as waste. But that's how we treat it, as garbage. So the first one, shifted, go back from that one, is the kromber. The mistakes in the building construction. And not because there's a huge crack in it. No, a window frame, just a tint too dark, and the architect rejects it. Glass, which is ordered a centimeter too wide, and it doesn't fit. The second one is the one from the event branches, the continuous flows from all the fairs and festivals set up every weekend. And then, when it's finished, what then? My stomach turns if I see the containers in the back. And look at the train timetables at our facade, or the concrete floors, station platforms. Those are not materials we reckon as building materials, but those are the leftovers from other industries. And it's of course, this is of course not recycling, but upcycling. And then the last one, the one I found the most terrible, the one of the surplus, the excess. Every contractor just buys a little bit more than is necessary for a building project, just because you would grab next to that last pack of insulation. But on a whole housing area, that could mean a whole truck full of insulation. Of course, it's not thrown away immediately. No, it goes to storage, gets in the way, and then what? Back to that container. And just to confirm, these stories are not made up. These materials are often offered to us multiple times. It's just simply cheaper in our system to buy a little bit more than go to the store for a second time. We just build too efficiently. Crazy, isn't it? Materials, cheaper as our time. But oh, what have we learned a lot? This round train window in a wooden wall, cross-laminated timber of 30 centimeters thickness. You need a chainsaw with it. Learning by doing. And all of that made me and my partners from skipping from containers to starting our own do-it-yourself building store, Buurman Utrecht. A store with only used materials, aimed at the private market, and to achieve that the materials are closer to the people. And it's just because of those lessons that people visit us now from a professional construction industry every day, to learn how we build with used materials, to listen to the struggles we've had, and how we dealt with building regulations. You learn the most of your failures. The downside is that we learned too much in too little time. So on one hand, people look at it as a success, but on the other hand, it took a lot of energy, persistency, and sacrifices in relationships, both in our building team as privately. But we are on a mission, and you have to believe in the bigger goals if you want to make that change to a sustainable world. The second pillar, just important for me in circular development, is green, nature-inclusive building. Just as important if you want to build on a healthy and happy city. Het Hof van Cartesius is designed as a historical courtyard typology, buildings around a green community garden. Everyone sees it as common sense that you have in your backyard, in your home environment. But I spend most of my time a day at work. And it's precisely there where it's missing. But, so what if you could go outside there? Take a fresh breath. Enjoy the flowers. Feel the sun. Go back to work. What would that mean for your happiness, for your health? For me, it changed my way of working. It changed my perspective on this beautiful but precious nature. It enriched my life. But the garden is not only there to increase biodiversity or for climate adaptation, it also has a huge social impact. We use it for lunch, for a meeting, for a beautiful celebration, for a difficult conversation, to clear your head, because that's what green does. It makes people, as well as animals, happier. But please, don't forget to protect every little bit of green, because we take it for granted. We just start building, cut the trees, and start with a blank sheet. But look at this beautiful tree tower. Our nature-inclusive building is how we call it, built in less than 1 year. The trees next to it, 80 years old. But again, not easy, building a tower between 2 trees. But it is possible, that's what we show. And what if we would have cut those trees? What if all the green in the city is gone? It will have a huge impact on our climate change as well, and on our mental and physical health. Het Hof has grown in 5 years from 9 buildings and 4 gardens. The third pillar is about upscaling. And not only building for yourself, for a select group, but share your knowledge with others, to inspire them to act as well, to open up to everyone, and to try to be inclusive. Every day we tell our story about circular development at Het Hof, to students, municipality, architects, and we also share that knowledge outside Het Hof. In the industrial area we collaborate in, Werkspoorkwartier. Together with partners, we won an award to be a most circular business park in the Netherlands. And we transformed an industrial abandoned area in less than 5 years to a lively, creative and circular business park. And we are now an example on work landscapes of the future. But all of this, I can't do alone. And that brings me to the precondition on circular development, on making a healthy and happy city. The struggle on climate change are not the materials, but it's the people, it's their mindset, it's our system. We have to do this together. This story started with an image in my head, but I needed my 2 partners here, my sister Bianca and Simone, to realize it. Because other forces are needed to come from design to realization, knowledge on finance, organization, process. But we also needed people to join who have the same dream on a sustainable, happy city. So nowadays we are the board of which we call a cooperative of Het Hof. And 120 renters we call Hof members. And where you don't only rent your workspace, but you co-own it. And where we struggle, right at this moment, what that means if you have a shortage on your budget, but also a leaking roof. What it means if you organize a festival together, but one contributes more than the other. We are not there yet, by far, but we are trying for the better. Because what can you achieve on your own? Not a lot. But if you have 1 million snowflakes, that snowball effect starts and you have a huge impact. And that is what is necessary on circular transition. We've built our own playground with Het Hof van Cartesius. And we feel like Ella and Bas built their own part of the city right here in Utrecht. But we play a serious game. We are working on preserving the future of our precious earth. This ain't a children's book. This is my story. This is me. But it's also your story. Your playground. This beautiful earth. How are you going to play? What are you going to do tomorrow to enrich your life? What is within your reach to make a healthy and happy city? Start with the low-hanging fruit. But start, because you can do a lot, more than you might think. And then, together, maybe, we are on time.